We're here at Newbury Racecourse for the charity dinner hosted by Fight or Flight and the Injured Jockeys Fund. Come with me, we're going to have a fantastic evening and raise some money for some fantastic causes. Let's go!
So obviously it's been about 18 months I think since you went on that first walk at Reigate Viewpoint. Talk us through, obviously there was a lot more that happened before that.
My story, so obviously I am an addict, I happily admit that. I'm sober these days, I haven't drunk for a year and a half now. And like a lot of you, when I first started drinking, you know, there's no reason to start drinking. I started drinking because I played football, it was just with my mates. But then over time, you know, these good times, slowly start to have a few problems. And these problems can be simple, you know, like for me, not turning up to work on a Monday. We've all done it, you know, we've gone out flat out the weekend, you don't turn up for work. Or I spend all my money, you know, on a weekend or something like that. I got fired from a couple of jobs for not turning up for work. I started to have a lot of problems in my relationship. You know, I was with a lady who really loved me, she really did love me, but I took advantage, you know, I took the piss out of her, and this comes hand in hand with drinking, unfortunately, and drug abuse. In addiction, mental health is a massive part of that. You know, I'm very fortunate that I don't struggle with mental health on a daily basis, but there has been times in my life when I have seriously considered committing suicide, but all these times have been after I've been on a 2 or 3 day bender. So if you are drinking, if you are doing drugs, I think a lot of you who have been on a bender, you all know this, that it goes hand in hand with mental health. So that's kind of why, you know, we joined up, and yeah, it's kind of just grown from there, really. It's been pretty amazing.
Brilliant, thanks for that.
Yeah, so at Fight or Flight, we've got on 3 weekly events for people. As I said, we believe for Fight or Flight, we're not more about sitting in a room and talking, we're about getting out and about, dealing with mental health, addictions, loneliness, anxiety, whatever it is, we believe with getting out and about, getting active. So we put on 3 boxing classes every week, we put on 3 yoga classes every week, we do a coffee shop talk every week, and we do obviously our walk and talk, which on a Sunday morning up Reigate Hills. We now go into colleges, into schools, and we do talks for young adults about addictions, about what can happen when you drink, signs to look out for that, you know, your life may be getting unmanageable, you may be, you know, going into that phase of your life. We don't get paid for this at the moment, so everyone helps us, including myself. We take time off work, we don't get paid for it. So, you know, the idea is that we can actually start paying the people that help us, and then we can start doing more talks because, and hopefully, you know, start doing this more full time.
Welcome Brendan Powell to the stage, please. Next, can we please welcome Thomasina Iceland to the stage, please? Thank you. Can we please welcome David Bass to the stage, please? Last but not least, the star of Heads or Tails, Mr. Wayne Hutchinson himself.
What's the one thing that you think mentally is a struggle for jockeys and the lifestyle that you guys have?
I suppose for me personally, it's when you go through a dry spell and not riding winners. You know, that is probably the hardest part when you go racing. Riding horses you think have chances of winning and they're not winning, that can get to you a little bit, especially if it's over, you know, the space of a week or 2. And travelling, being away from the family, that can play a bit of a part as well. But I think the everyday grind and all we want to do as jockeys is ride winners. If you're not riding winners, that can be tight. As well as injuries as well.
How have you found dealing with that mentally? Obviously there's a great physical aspect to it as well, but it's got to take its toll mentally.
Yeah, it's definitely the mental aspect that's the biggest challenge. I mean, for me, I accumulated 3 pretty significant injuries over the space of just over a year. The first one, it was really, I just felt it was rite of passage as a jockey, you know you're going to get injured at some point. But then when I got injured again, it was pretty soon after, and I felt like I just got going again we were going into the middle of the season. And the obvious struggles with that was that, you know, like you're watching all those opportunities go away from you, and like the rides you lose and everything. So I had this third injury. It was literally, I think, 14 months between 3 big injuries. It suddenly dawned on me that the impact that was having on the people around me and the strain that me, like, it's all well and good me going out and racing, bouncing back or whatever, but actually it had quite a significant impact on my family, my mother in particular. I've got such a good supportive family for considering I'm doing a sport that they'd probably rather me didn't, wish I didn't do, but they've supported me so much, and then I almost felt a sense of guilt really when I got injured again. The strain that was putting on them, and I was suddenly aware to like, actually, you know, it is a selfish sport and you have to be very narrow-minded and focused really, and put those things aside in order to be a jockey and to be a very good jockey.
What can we be doing to allow everyone to work on their mental health? Not if you're really, you know, from both ends of the spectrum, people that are really struggling versus just the day-to-day, just keeping on top of things, making sure we're looking out for each other. What can we be doing more of in racing, do we think?
Talk. It's one of the most simple things is talk and be open and feel it's okay to talk. And if you can find team friends within the weighing room, from a sports personal side, for jockeys, and it's okay to talk. And you know, with all due respect, I mean, I think back in the day, from our time, AP McCoy, you know, he set a benchmark, and the levels that he set were so high, from a mental toughness side as well as, you know, physical toughness side, and everyone tried to follow that, and that's, I think, from the weighing room side in the jump scene, I think set a stigma of, you know, people didn't want to be seen to look weak. They were trying to be, you know, another AP McCoy, and rightly so. But I think now it's becoming more acceptable. You know, I think, you know, times are changing and society is changing. People understand everyone has their troubles, and trying to get people to talk and be open is the way forward.
When do you think that point comes? When should we give our mates a text and say, I'm feeling great?
I think there is a specific time, just whenever you're not feeling great. You know, we all have, some friends are closer than others, but I know myself, if I wasn't feeling great, I'd have more than a handful of people I could speak to about anything.
I actually got banned in the Grand National because of my use of the stick, which I was terrible for. I had 2 weeks off, and in that 2 weeks I was very depressed. Like I couldn't do anything. I managed to ride out a few mornings, and I'd go home and just sit down, and I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't get off the sofa. I think one day it was so bad. I had a few friends down to watch the football, and they left some beers in the fridge. I think I had 4 cans of Kronenbourg in about 20 minutes, and I just sort of broke down, and I was like, and I was on my own, and I was like, there's obviously something wrong with me. I tried to forget about it and just think, you know, and we'll probably talk about the stigma in racing of like, you don't talk about your weaknesses, you know, you're this hard jump jockey, you don't have any problems. So I didn't really talk about it, but a very good friend of mine, I saw him riding out probably about a month later, and we were talking, and he sort of said, you know, what have you been up to? And I said, to be honest, I'm horrendous, like, I've got no energy, I feel tired all the time, I don't want to do anything. And he said, you're depressed. And I sort of looked at him and I was like, I'm not depressed. I was like, I'm fine. And he said, trust me, you're depressed. And that was as far as it went, but it made me think, you know, maybe I am. So, yeah, a few weeks later, it didn't get any better, so I rang the PGA. They sort of got me in touch with a therapist, and they paid for the first few sessions. It was the hardest thing I ever did. Yeah, honestly. Like I sat down, and I was like, what? I literally was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, there's a stranger in front of me. He's like, you know, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel horrendous. And I sort of, I spoke about a few things, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. The whole stigma around it was still, I mean, it is still bad, and that's what we need to work on in racing. But I was so, like, I didn't want anyone to know what I was doing. Didn't want anyone to know. But I was working for a trainer, and I was like, they cannot know that I've done this. And that's, you know, even, I was like, any of the owners that I work for, a lot of old school owners that won't understand this. They just don't get it. And I was like, I don't want anyone to find out. And then after a few years, I sort of learned to relax, and now I'm obviously happy to talk about it, but at the time, because of the stigma in racing, I didn't want anyone to know about it.
Whether it's big or small, whether you're really struggling or whether you're just having you know, a bit of a turbulent time, chatting to people will definitely do the world of good. You jockeys are who we look up to in the sport. You're braver than you do an incredibly brave job. So thank you very much for chatting. Just as brave to come here and share your stories, and it's inspiring to people that sit here because you're the reason that the sport ticks and the reason that we all enjoy it. So brilliant. Well, guys, thanks again. Thank you very much. Well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's raise some more money for these two chaps and their charities. Who's going to start me off then? 2 tickets. Put me in it. 150, start me off. Put me in at 150. 150 I've got at 150. 450. 500. Up 500.
I'll go 500.
Oh, we've got 500 here. Matty, come on in. Up 500. It's 650. Go to this lady over here. I look round the room again. 670. 670. 750. How many of you had to drink? That's £750. Matty, you have a big competition here at 750. I look round the room again. There's nothing more. At £750, I sell to you, my good sir. At 750. Anybody else? I said it once. I said it twice. I said it again. That's £750 last call and sold to you, sir. That's £750.
Fantastic evening here at Newbury Racecourse. I'm Lewis from Fight or Flight. This is Ross, also from Fight or Flight. We wanted to put on the evening tonight in association with the Injured Jockeys Fund. So a bit about Fight or Flight. We're a local community group, CIC in fact, from East Surrey, and really what we've done is we just put on free activities for people in the local area. We're based in Reigate, but we're looking to expand, and racing was an industry that I've got connections in and we really wanted to make a difference in. So Ross will tell you a bit about his story. Well, how did you essentially get
so
Fight or Flight?
Obviously started Fight or Flight. Well, I started another community called Paul's. Unfortunately, my auntie was murdered 13 years ago. Led to family issues with PTSD with my dad, looking after my little brother. Had massive effects on the family. Lewis has his own personal story with his friend losing his life to suicide. We've really come together, grown a community and grow a group. We've got 80 men live in a WhatsApp group, and we've got over 30 women in a group. As Lewis said, activities that we do are all free, but tonight's about bringing everyone together in the racing community, building stakeholders such as Racing Welfare and Injured Jockeys Fund together to work and collaborate rather than against each other. And that's what we're here to do, and try and change racing for the better.
We're all done for the evening at the charity dinner. As you can see behind me, the party has started and we'll be dancing long into the night, hopefully raise so much money for a fantastic charity. What an incredible evening. I hope you've all enjoyed.